It appears President Trump was up late last night watching election results. In a flurry of rambling social media posts, he weighed in on why Republicans lost across the board. Just after 10 p.m. Eastern, Trump offered this excuse for the sweeping nationwide GOP losses, writing, quote, "Trump wasn't on the ballot and shutdown were the two reasons that Republicans lost elections tonight." About an hour later, he posted again, calling for the passage of so-called voter reform, pushing for voter ID laws, ending mail-in voting, and eliminating the filibuster. During New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani's victory speech, Trump also posted in all caps, "And so it begins." Meanwhile, the official White House Instagram account posted a modified version of the Knicks logo that read, "Trump is your president."
It was a big night for Democrats.
Well, no, it was a huge night for Democrats. It was a massive
key races across the country.
It's a massive night for Democrats. I've been through a lot of these elections off year. And this is as big as it gets.
It's Ken Harbaugh with the MeidasTouch Network. We don't yet have the full results from Tuesday's elections, but every indicator shows a massive win for Democrats. If you've been wondering why over the last few months Donald Trump has not been out on the campaign trail, he's hardly lifted a finger to help Republicans running for office, it's because even he knows how toxic he has become. The polls have been telling us that, but now we have our first solid data point. Massive turnout among Dems, driven in large part by a wholesale rejection of Trump's agenda, plus Republicans flipping their votes or just staying home. If this holds, or better yet, if we can continue to build on this momentum, the whole electoral map opens up for 2026, including in states that might have otherwise been considered out of reach, like Kentucky. I know it sounds crazy, but with the right candidate, a fighter with name recognition, that open Senate seat is in play. You might know where I'm going with this. Amy McGrath has thrown her hat back in the ring after a grueling battle against Mitch McConnell. She's always had my respect, but now I think she's got a real shot at winning that seat. I had her on the show to talk about what's at stake and why she's in this fight. Here's our conversation. Welcome to the Ken Harbaugh Show. I've got Amy McGrath with me today. She needs no introduction, but for anyone who's been living under a rock, Amy is a former Marine Corps fighter pilot, took on Mitch McConnell in one of the toughest Senate races. She's also a good friend, a mom, an outspoken advocate for veterans, and she is back in the fight, taking on this open seat in Kentucky, an absolutely essential race to hopefully flip the Senate. I mean, anything is on the table in 2026. But Amy, I want to give you a shot to address some of the incoming fire that has been headed your way since your announcement, given the results of your last race, which I fully supported. I fully support you in this race. I think some people misunderstand what it takes to run for Senate in a place like Kentucky, taking on someone like Mitch McConnell with literally billions of dollars at his disposal.
Yeah, I mean, look, taking on a 30-year incumbent who was the Senate Majority Leader was a tough task in 2020 when we had COVID, when you couldn't campaign. And anybody that's been to Kentucky knows that campaigning is really important. Look, I mean, the money issue, Mitch McConnell always had a ton more dark money. This was the system that he built. Okay. And it was a presidential year, which is really tough. You know, Kentucky's a really tough state in those years. What's different now? Look, I'm still a fighter. I'm somebody that, you know, if you get knocked down, whatever, I'm a Marine, right? You get back up. We're in a midterm. With everything going on in our country right now, we need people to step up and fight and not say, oh, this is too hard. Are you kidding me? You know, a lot of the policies that have been pushed down in the last 9 months really hurt Kentucky in a big way. This is an open seat. You're not going up against a 30-year incumbent. Will you need resources? Yeah, you'll need resources. I mean, you need resources to run for office. That's a no-brainer, you know? But this is really important. And so if people are asking, well, why are you doing this again? Well, of course I'm going to do it again because it's not about me. It's about Kentucky. It's about this opportunity here to actually have this seat be filled with somebody with decency and courage. Okay. Because the other side, who they're putting up on the other side, Ken, are all these guys who are basically just cowards, who are going to do whatever Mar-a-Lago tells them to do. Okay. And that's not what Kentucky deserves. All right. So that's why I'm running.
Tell me about what you are sensing on the ground in Kentucky. And I imagine it has some similarities with Ohio, which has been described as a deep red state. And, we've been disappointed many times in the past, but there is a vibe shift. There is something significant happening in our politics. Are you seeing the same kind of thing at the grassroots level in Kentucky that portends the kind of realignment that is terrifying to Republicans?
I think things are shifting because the policies that have been pushed in the last 9 months, it isn't what people thought they were voting for. Okay. So what we're seeing from folks in power right now is not what Kentuckians thought they were going to get. They didn't vote for higher prices, Ken. People in Kentucky didn't vote for less health care. It's just about they were promised by this president, promised by these Republicans that they were going to get into office and make things better for people. And what have we seen happen? They made things worse. Are these tariffs, are taxes, that are on everyday Americans? They're putting our rural hospitals at risk of closure with this just bill that they just passed this summer, which guts healthcare in our state. And that's what we're getting. And I think, is everybody picking up that yet? No, but a lot of people are. A lot of hardworking Kentuckians are seeing it. And I think that it's not what they voted for.
I think a lot of viewers of this program are tempted to write off Kentucky. And look, I'm saying this as a kid who spent my formative years in Alabama, right? There's that association. It feels like the Deep South. But sell us on Kentucky, because it's not that. I mean, Andy Beshear proves it. This is an open seat that is a real possibility.
Yeah, I think you can't count Kentucky out. Okay, this is a real opportunity. Mitch McConnell saw the writing on the wall. He left the seat wide open. Okay, it's a midterm. That's really important in terms of the electorate. Kentucky has proven that they can vote for the best candidate, whether that person has a D or an R behind their name, because we elected a Democratic governor in 2023, reelected. I think he's very popular. And control of the Senate, if you care about that, and I certainly do right now, because we have to check this president, it hinges on this seat. So I think it's really important. And, folks that have supported me in the past in the race that I ran against Mitch McConnell, who love our country, they haven't given up, and I haven't given up either.
Hey everyone, it's Ken. Quick break here to say thanks for watching and a huge shout out to everyone who supported my most recent reporting trip to Ukraine. I hope you followed the updates on Substack. I reported from Chernobyl, from Kyiv and Odessa, and from frontline positions alongside some of the bravest people I have ever met. If you haven't yet signed up for my Substack, please check it out. It's free to join. The link's below. Thanks.
But the bottom line is we have to compete everywhere. Okay. And Kentucky is a place where we have a real opportunity because it is an open seat, because it is a midterm, because we have a Democratic governor, because of everything that is going on, that hurts my fellow Kentuckians with these tariffs and this bill that was just passed this summer. Kentucky is, we're at 35 of our rural hospitals are at risk of closure because of what they just passed. And, to my message to my fellow Kentuckians is, these guys are lying to you. There's promises made, promises broken. They said they weren't going to go after Medicare. What do? They went after Medicare. They said they would not go after Connect. What do? They go after it. Now everybody's premiums are on the rise. They said they wouldn't go after Medicaid. What do? They gutted it. It's literally, and I'm a Christian. I went through Catholic schools. I am not a biblical scholar, but I will say this, that bill that was just passed this summer, which is the worst bill in my lifetime for Kentucky, it literally takes from the poor and gives to the rich.
Yeah. I think it was Warnock who crystallized that when he described legislation as a moral statement. A budget isn't just an Excel sheet. It is a moral statement. And the moral statement that today's Republicans are making is that to build on your point, I mean, the message of Christian charity is out the window, right? The message of uplifting the least among us, defending the least among us.
It's just not the way I was raised. And it's not what most of my fellow Kentuckians believe. You know, there are real painful things happening in our government right now. There's things that are happening that are not decent. This is not how decent people act. You know, it's not how Christians act. And I just need to say that. People just need to say that more, I think, in my opinion.
You said we have to check this president. I'm going to ask you a specific question. I know the answer, but I have made it a habit of asking every elected who comes on and every candidate what their attitude towards formal investigations. Should we retake the House or retake the Senate? Formal investigations into violations of the Constitution by DHS in particular will be. When you see, okay.
100%. I mean, look, if somebody is breaking the law or going against the Constitution, they need to be held accountable. This is Civics 101. The first step in that is any investigation.
I mentioned Senator Warnock, and I would love to give you an opportunity to share with this audience, with the MeidasTouch audience, your role in getting him elected. You do not get nearly enough credit for that, for the runoffs in Georgia. Ossoff and Warnock, right after January 6th, when everyone, or in the run-up, to January 6th,
right?
Everyone was panicking, and people had written off those races because it's Georgia. You know, the same attitude that plagues us here in Ohio and that sometimes afflicts Democrats in Kentucky. And it ended up being a very invested in race. But you opened that floodgate. You took the chance in there.
Yeah, I mean, look, when we knew there was a runoff, so when I lost my race to McConnell, I did not give up. I did not hang it up. I said, you know what? We have a structure. I took whatever was left that I had, and I essentially raised a bunch of money and resources to do the get out the vote. We had about 6 weeks or so before January 6th, actually probably 7 weeks. And that was going to be and I sent it all down to Georgia for John Ossoff and Warnock. And even when party leaders said, forget about it, it's not worth it, I said, no, it is worth it. It is absolutely worth it. And we raised millions of dollars, sent it all the way down there to do the get out the vote stuff that we knew was needed. And on January 6th, both of those senators now won. And despite party leadership thinking it was a lost cause. And, you know, I think that just shows you, first of all, party leaders don't always know what they're doing. But also, I'm not somebody who is in this for me. Okay. I wanted to help others. I wanted to make the race that we had in Kentucky really matter. And it did. Because a lot of those resources were there because of this race that we had in 2020. And we were able to bring it down to Georgia for the good of the country. And so I'm really proud of that. And that work, by the way, continued after January 6th. Why? Because January 6th happened.
Yeah.
And when January 6th in the afternoon happened, and we all know what happened that afternoon, that's when I said, I'm not giving up. Yeah. We're going to keep raising resources to go support pro-democracy candidates around the country. And over the next 4 years, that's exactly what we did. We invested in Secretary of State races around the country, and multiple up and down the ballot, all around. Okay. And I'm really proud of that. And we did that behind the scenes. I say we because I had a small team continue with me.
Well, I wish it were less behind the scenes, because if people actually knew how in the fight you have remained, I think they would give you a ton of credit. And I hope that story comes to light and is out in the open during the course of your campaign. Amy, thanks so much for joining us. We'll keep tracking. Where can people find out about the race and help out?
Sure. AmyMcGrath.com is the best way to do it, but we're on all social media platforms. So, you name it, Instagram, all that stuff. And then also I have my own podcast. So, I interview great people like you. You've been on the podcast. And it's really another way to communicate and to listen to people.
Great. We'll put all the links in the show notes. Thanks for joining us.
All right.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.